So the material that will be covered on the test will be up through here. Although we won't do international business on test one, okay? And we'll see how far I can get an Alexis and the olive tree, right? Chances are it won't be too far, but what we will have, I'm gonna talk about critical thinking today. If we have a little time, I'll start Lexis. Then we'll do Lexis on Monday. Yes, it is the Monday after the Super Bowl. I figure by 3:30 on Monday, you should have had your hair of the dog or whatever it is that you do to get over your hangover. You should be here. I'll try and speak softly, right? Not aggravate the headaches. But I will try and do a little bit of a review and cover, probably just a little bit of an intro on Lexis. And then we'll have the test on Wednesday. Is that clear to everybody? Yes? Well, that's the right question. I would say to be safe between now, to be safe, you should plan on getting up to page 43, okay? It is possible that we don't cover all of that, all right? But between now and next Wednesday, I think 43 pages is probably a reasonable amount of reading for you all to do. Other questions? Wednesday. Yes. It will be 25 multiple choice questions. Okay. And it will be drawn largely from the slides that I will post those. I will probably not post those slides until the Tuesday before the test. I think if I do it before then, my experience has been that people don't study. And they just think, okay, I'll look at the slides. I do this because I love you. If you just try and memorize the slides, it's not going to work, right? And because I don't filter through the slides, and there will be slides up there that you have never seen before. When I'm teaching, I'll show some, I won't show others. The way to succeed, look at what the notes were while you're looking at the slides. If you have no connection between a slide and something you have in the notes, it means I probably didn't talk about it and therefore probably will not pull a question from you. Okay. Who went last night? Oh, look at you all. I didn't see all of you all there. It seemed like a smaller room. What'd you think? Who wants to talk about it? Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear you say it. Why did you like it? What type of ideas did it inspire? Did the same for me, by the way. What type of ideas did it inspire for you?
Well, I really like the concept of a community of leaders and kind of building a place where they can support one another. So I was thinking of maybe starting some kind of group like that here, but like creative thinker.
Do it. Sign me up. How would you start?
I was going to talk to the camp director, Josh Bailey, and shoot some ideas around this.
Reduce transaction costs, right? Reduce barriers of entry. Make it easy for people to participate, easy for people to join. Don't make it hard. Don't create, that's what so many of these things fall down because there are too many barriers. Make it dead simple. Make it actionable. Don't make it something where, look, these are the things that need to get done. Let's do it. And shift the burden over to the people that are doing it rather than you having to direct them. And I think that's what his team of teams approach was. It's like, look, this top down, did any of it, for those of you who went, did any of it jive with the stuff that I've been saying? Okay. Because I mean, for me, it was like, wow. And I knew a little bit about this going into it, but not nearly as much as I did coming out of it. This is stuff that I've been thinking about for, I just didn't know there was a kind of overarching thought process behind it, right? But so much of what, if you can do this team of teams thing and let small groups do stuff, I really think that's important. Who else had some thoughts? There are a couple hands. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Well, I thought it was important because some people, and they were saying how a lot of it was common sense, but I don't even think that's true because if, you focused on how ethical, fiber, and empathy are
Great.
the most important things to be successful. People say there's common sense, but that wouldn't be common sense if, if all of our industries were acting in these ways, then they wouldn't be in the trouble they're in now.
Oh, man, awesome. I hope you wrote that in your little paper. But what if you had to, from the stuff that we've been talking about, when you think about empathy, ethical fiber, what type of leader has those qualities? Putting you on the spot here after you did so well.
Well, I mean, you focus on social entrepreneurship.
Think about the lessons. Level 5 leader, right? Do you remember a level 5 leader? Did we talk about that? Yes. Really? We never talked about a level 5 leader in here? Push it up. No tests. Strikes me as odd. I guess we'll get to it. Anyway, a level 5 leader, and you don't have to know this for the test. You will for maybe the second or the third. A level 5 leader is somebody that has the combination of humility, right, humbleness, and will, W-I-L-L. And that is sort of counterintuitive to the way that we typically think of leaders as being not very humble, right? And so empathy. And the question that I wanted to ask, I think I know what empathy means. I mean, does anybody want to take a stab? That was the overarching theme. Yeah, go ahead. You've done so well. What's empathy?
Being able to understand the feelings of another person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the definition I would use. So it correlates. You guys know what IQ is. What's EQ? Anybody know EQ? Sorry? Somebody said, I think. Emotional intelligence, right? And what we found as we study leaders and successful leaders is that most of them don't have off-the-chart IQ, but they've got off-the-chart EQ. They've got off-the-chart emotional intelligence, which are these social skills that he's talking about, right? Empathy. The ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. That's kind of empathy, in my opinion. Not in a condescending way or patronizing way, but to genuinely go, okay, I get where you're coming from. It may not be where I'm coming from, but I get where you're coming from. And, the line was, people without empathy are dinosaurs. They're done. This brings me great joy. Because the people that I have the biggest problems with have no empathy. They are completely self-centered individuals, correct? And that just doesn't fly anymore. What else? Who else? Someone else had their hand up. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I like to think about it, like you sort of like redefine like what's the purpose of like a for-profit company.
Good. What is the purpose of a for-profit company?
Well, like right now, like when we think of for-profit company, we sort of like corporate America, we think of these like huge sort of like cloud of people in like
Right.
these, high-rise buildings, but it can be something small and focused.
Good. Small and focused. That's the future. I was talking to my wife about it afterwards, and I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they got all my wife's qualities. They're very smart little kids, and we're kind of wrestling with what type of schools they should be in because we don't want them to get bored, And I was saying to her, it's like, man, if it wasn't for the social skills that they're getting in schools, I'd just pull them out, quite frankly, because I think that it is about these small things. It's much less about, and I see my little Annabelle, and I think, the traditional goal was go to college, go to work for someone. I think that equation is changing. I think it's now go to college, build your own thing. Build your own small focused group, as you said. Not for everyone, and that's hard. It means we're all entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurs need a support staff, too, a support system. So, as we'll talk about later in the course, the qualities of an entrepreneur are not the same qualities as managers, but they need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be all entrepreneurs, but I do think small focus in building something is pretty darn key. There's another hand. Yeah.
Well, it just really got me thinking about like how it relates to music.
Oh.
The dinosaurs
Hmm.
are dying. Like that makes me really happy.
Yeah,
because,
me too.
you have complete creative control.
Yeah.
And
And with that complete creative control comes what? Responsibility. I know you don't want to hear that. You guys are all smart kids, and you've had your parents say, with great intelligence comes great responsibility, all that stuff. But it does. I wrote a blog piece about this not too long ago, where it was like all the excuses that artists, and I use that term generally, not just musicians, used to say, oh, if I had a label, or the label screwed this up, or the radio screwed this up, or the publisher screwed up, none of those are relevant anymore. And so the only person you can kind of point the finger back on, and that's where we get into ethics, frankly. That was the lesson last week was on ethics. I think we got through it. Something, did we not have power or something? There was something weird about, I don't know, this thing, I'm all muddled. But in any case, one of the things about ethics is this idea of personal autonomy, right? The idea that the locus of control, that you're not guided by externalities, that you're not looking for affirmation from here, nor are you willing to accept punishment from here, right? It's you. And the reason it's you is that in order to be a fully realized person, anybody know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all that? So what's at the top? What's at the bottom? Tell us about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. 5 levels. It's like a caveman, right? Food and shelter, right? And as we go up, you get to the top and you want to be a self-actualized person, correct? And that means someone that is not looking for affirmation from the outside or motivation. It's about internal. Now, if you get there, what is the only way that you can actually get any type of affirmation that's valid? Who else can give you that? What type of other people? Other self-actualized autonomous people, right? Once you get to a level where you know that you're doing something on a path that is your own, the only meaningful relationships you can have with others is when they are also doing that. You get it? If you are at that level and somebody that's down here says you're great, you don't care. It doesn't mean anything. Right? And so to get there, you have to be autonomous. Now, what did he say? This will be on the test, and I know not everybody's here, was at the thing. So I'm saying it now, and I'll try and underscore it. What was the importance of ethical fiber? And you kind of hinted at it. Go ahead.
We're able to trust you.
Excellent.
And it helps you get things done quicker.
Excellent. Explain on that. Why does it help? Because not everyone was there. Why does it help you? The trust thing should be obvious. How does it help you get things done more quickly?
Well, if they trust you, then they know you're not going to try to get one over on them.
And what does that allow you to do? You said it. Get things done quicker. And so the term for that would be, and I think I talked about this in this class, and I apologize if I didn't. It lowers your transaction costs. Again, did I talk about transaction costs? Okay, good. So this idea, I'm an entrepreneur. I come to someone that I need something from, a small group, a team of teams, right? And because of my ethical fiber, I lower the transactional costs. And transactional costs aren't just money. What else are they? Time. I lower the cost, the opportunity cost and the financial cost of getting my project off the ground because of my ethical fiber. Is that clear to everybody? Nod. Okay? Because I'm telling you it's going to be on the test. And not everybody was there. Not sure how I'll work it in exactly, but I want, that to me apropos of ethics was the big takeaway. We spent a whole class last time talking about this ethical dilemma, right? The radio thing. And we illustrated a number of things to do if you hit an ethical dilemma, right? Somebody give me one. Do nothing. Give me another one. Good test review. Utilitarian, right? Do the least amount of harm. Shine a light. Good. Did you have another one? Remove yourself. Right. I think you guys have gotten them all. Very good. So we know what to do when you hit these ethical dilemmas, but what we really didn't talk about was the competitive advantage that emerges from acting ethically. And thank goodness, dude, last night hit a home run with it. And it relates to this ethical fiber. This idea that by being ethical and wearing that on your sleeve, by the way, right, through your actions, you reduce transaction costs. Okay? I feel like I'm not driving it home, and I'm trying. Go ahead.
Well, I think another important point that he made as far as the ethical fiber was that example he gave of the guy when he entered the room and told the leader,
Yes.
like, he already had his eyes set on the prize, like he knew it was
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
So,
Manifest destiny, right?
The other person subconsciously was like already convinced and persuaded.
And this goes back to this kind of this autonomous thing. I am going to do this, right? You can help me or you can get the hell out of my way, but I'm doing this. And that's what's happening in the record business right now. You're seeing people that are saying, you know what? I don't really care what the record business was. I'm doing this. That I'm autonomous. I don't need you. I need a team of teams. I need an infrastructure or whatever. But yes, that ties to ethical fiber too. We okay on that? People that weren't at the speech, are we okay? Please ask me now, because what I hate is feeling like we're okay, writing the test, getting it wrong, and I'll review the test with everybody, you know, and then people raising their hand, go, but you did, you know. Not trying to trick you, really not. Trying to get you to learn. Now, one thing we didn't talk about last time, and this will be on the test also, so how many Dow components do we have? 30, right? Any surprises there? What you found? Who was on the Dow? Who were these? Go ahead. 3M. So they're a Minnesota manufacturing and mining company. They make sticky notes and about 1 billion other things. 3M's a massive, massive, massive company and always has. I mean, it's just an incredible company. One of the pillars of 3M. You've heard maybe of the Google 20% rule. Anybody know what the Google 20% rule is? Sorry? No. It's 80-20. What's the Google 20%? So, 1 day a week, people at Google are allowed to do whatever they want, work on whatever they want, right? And what this has resulted in is a lot of projects where you get smart people, team of teams, right? Smart people in a room, and you kind of set them free. Work on whatever you want. Now the catch is, of course, you're on Google time, so if you invent something, who owns it? Google, right? But it's okay. You know, you still get to do what you want. And most of these people are motivated not so much by money as they are by just doing cool stuff. And by the way, they're Google employees. They've got Google shares, and Google stock is trading about where? About $500 a share. Okay, so you know, you invent something cool for Google. It means you're going to stick around longer. You get more shares. You're probably going to get rich. Well, 3M instituted this I believe it was 3M, 20% rule, 1 day a week. And I think the sticky pad was one of the things, sticky notes. Dude wanted something to put on his Bible to mark pages, but that he could pull off without it ripping the pages. That's what a sticky note. So I want you to know how many stocks are on the Dow. You don't have to memorize the stocks. I wanted you to see, did it feel like a fair representation of our economy? Those 30 stocks? It's okay, right? How many stocks on the NASDAQ? NASDAQ was initially much more technologically heavy. But that's why we always look at the Dow and the NASDAQ, and they typically go hand in hand, right? The NASDAQ got creamed in the late 90s, early 2000s when the tech bubble burst. The NASDAQ was going up. I think the NASDAQ reached 6,000, then it crashed back down to like 1,000. But just know, Dow has 30. The Dow is supposed to be the sort of proxy for the overall health of the economy. The NASDAQ, to a degree, is a wider sampling, thousands of stocks. Let's talk quickly, Quinn, about Toyota's Prius. What's going on?
I guess there's a lot of problems with a lot of the cars they released. Like
Toyota's just having a hell of a lot of problems, aren't they?
yeah, there's faulty brakes and like
Brakes, gas up,
unexpected
pedals that
acceleration,
stick, right? Does this strike you as odd, Quinn?
yeah,
Why?
because they're a pretty big company and they shouldn't be.
They're a
having,
big company.
Yeah, they shouldn't be having problems like this. Like
Why else does it strike you as odd? Go ahead.
They've always been a pretty trustworthy company with well-made cars.
When we think of cars that break down and have problems, Toyota isn't exactly the first one to spring to mind, is it? Historically, what is? Ford. Right. Who made the Pinto? Anybody remember the Nova? What does Nova mean in Spanish? Yeah, how'd the Nova do in Spain and Mexico? They named the car Doesn't Go. But yeah, we think of Toyota in the way back. What are you guys talking about back there? Fascinated by the conversation you had with the hat on. What are you talking about? Yeah, you are. See your lips moving. What are you guys talking about? Doing a math problem. Out. Both of you. Appreciate your honesty. Both of you. Go do your math problem somewhere else. So Toyota is this brand that we think of as total quality, right? Doesn't break down. You never see a Toyota on the side of the road, right? And now, what's happened? What happened? So this idea of the brand, what has happened to the Toyota brand? What's that? Disintegrated overnight, right? And all that brand equity, which we talked about the first day of class, all that kind of brand value, gone. Overnight. What about the ethical fiber of Toyota?
They pause manufacturing cars after
So what are they trying to do? Throw it. Yeah. Trying to cover it up. Not really a problem, right? They're trying to be proactive. This is the right thing to do, but it ain't gonna be easy. Yeah.
You know, I used to think Toyota had a lot of ethical fiber because they were always trying to produce more economical cars. And
Right.
But I found out that at the same time, they're one of the biggest lobbyists against emissions caps and emission standards from the government. So they have this image of being, green and trying to move on into the future, but at the same time they're fighting it behind the scenes and not letting anybody know that. And that's when I stopped really having faith in Toyota.
So we equate brands with what? Talked about this, right? Trust. They lost your trust. You don't care anymore about that brand. If anything, you have negative feelings about that brand. And what did you just do to that brand? You just talked about it, right? You just spread it. We got 100 people in here. You just told me something I didn't know, right? Now, I don't know if you're accurate in your statement. I tend to believe you. You look like a, I don't know where you got your information, but in front of 100 people, you said that Toyota is a company of liars. Am I wrong? Kind of, right? So, this is hard, and I think this goes back to what we were talking about with ethics, ethical fiber, and the point I'm trying to make is ethics and business do have a place that comes together. Like don't want you guys to think I'm just trying to get you to be ethical so you go to heaven. Of course I want you to go to heaven. I'll see you there. My definition of heaven may not be, my definition of heaven, you want to know currently my definition of heaven? I can drink as much Don Julio as I want and I can eat cheeseburgers, right? Because my doctor has told me that I'm apparently not supposed to do either of those things anymore, and you know. So heaven will be that, and there'll be some good music, and you know, I'll be Man, Christoph, Bogota's bulletproof tailor. Where's Christoph? Oh wow, hey Christoph. the cosmos have been lining up where they've just been zooming right in on you. So tell us about Bogota's bulletproof tailor.
Well, it's a guy who manufactures, well, he manufactures like bulletproof vests and everything, but he also manufactures like tropical shirts and peacoats and
Bulletproof tropical shirts?
yeah, like they have these short like they're literally like short sleeve like button downs that are bulletproof. And
Wow.
And so he has a whole market on a line of like different clothes, like some suits and stuff where you can barely even tell they're bulletproof, and they actually looks like designer clothing.
Sad commentary that there's a market for this. Isn't it?
No, and that's the thing is like I saw that and I realized that market is going to grow
Yeah.
exponentially.
Yeah.
No matter how much we try to fight terrorism and war, like everybody's going to start wanting to buy this.
You're so right. No, as I said, you want to start a successful business, start a tattoo removal parlor, and now be a bulletproof tailor, right?
But it was crazy in they had a little video section and he really shot him like point blank with a revolver and it didn't even bruise him or anything. And it was
Gun porn.
No. I swear to God, like normally it'll indent your skin or something, but there was no bruise. He said he barely hurt at all, and it was point blank, and like it was like a nice looking jacket. It wasn't even like a vest.
This is bull. I worry that when I throw people out of class for doing math problems, that one of them sweaters also.
That exists though. How do we still use military people? Are they still
Well, because I mean, bulletproof does not defend against explosives, which is the primary use of terrorism.
Lee Slan III. How many? Did I pronounce that right? Slan? How many sales did Toyota lose last week? 20,000. Toyota has not sold under 100,000 vehicles since 1999. I presume they sold less than 100,000 last week, or they're on the way to doing that. Apparently, Redbox and Prius were the top stories on Yahoo News, right? We're sad JD passed away. I made a reference about Salinger, I think the day of or the day before he died. So now maybe you guys will read some of his writing. All right, very good. I think we got through ethics, correct? Let's see. Did we go through this? Fundamental right values?
Yep.
Yes? Because I mean, this is stuff that's going to show up on the test, and it just this. Talked about this. Internal ethics. Are we clear on the distinction, internal versus external ethics?
No.
Yeah, sort of. So in our case study, the people in the music business, right? There was an internal ethic that made payola kind of okay, because everybody did it. It was endemic. It was part of the system. In certain countries in Latin America, you bribe. Everybody does it. It's part of the internal ethic. Viewed from afar, it looks wrong, but inside it, the system is part of the system. I'm not saying it's right. It's part of the system. We clear? Yeah.
So like internal ethics is kind of right, but external ethics is
No, no. Internal ethics are the ethics of a specific situation. Okay? The ethics of a specific system. In the record business, payola is part of the system that everybody engages in. Inside that system, it is deemed okay. Outside the system, not good. Okay? Okay. External ethics would be a more global ethic. Okay? So if you do a Venn diagram, right? Do a quick little Venn diagram. So if you've got a system, right? And here's your external ethics. And then in here, you've got the music business, and you've got its internal ethics. Now, it's okay in here, but from the outside, it's wrong. So all it's saying is that certain situations have an ethical kind of code all of their own that works in microcosm, works by itself, but gets all screwy outside of the system. So Latin America may work as long as it's unique to Latin America. The internal ethic, it's working. It does its thing. I don't know, good or bad. It just is. But the problem is the external ethics say bribery is bad for the long term. And so if countries that don't have that internal ethic want to trade with us, we're going to butt heads. And that's where the problem is. As long as these systems, if the government, and this goes back to the do nothing thing. The government at a certain point said, you know what, payola is bad. We're going to prosecute. We're going to create laws. The external ethics said payola is bad. Internally, they're going, wait a second. We've been doing this forever. Leave us alone. And if they left them alone, it would eventually just fall apart, right? That's the do nothing thing. In Latin America, you don't really need to regulate this. At a certain point, other countries are going to go, because of transaction costs, you know what? We'll do business somewhere else where we don't have these crazy internal ethics. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? It's important. Because as we see with lectures in the olive tree, there's something called the electronic herd. Has anybody read far enough into that? What's the electronic herd? What's the electronic herd?
The global investors?
Yeah. So these global investors, this faceless, nameless people with money that are investing online and everything else, they move. You ever been standing in shallow water and you see a school of fish and that's the electronic herd, right? Nobody's telling them where to go. They're looking for the most transparency and the least transaction costs. That's where they're going to put their money. You go into Latin America, and the electronic herd is going to look at it like a school of fish and go, the internal ethics here is screwy. Go somewhere else. Okay? Some of the, do we do this? Just a little CI, right? Can't remember where we stopped. So, and I feel like we've talked about this, and I think that what we talked about in terms of ethical fiber really starts making clear why we manage the business ethically, right? Reputation, which is another word for goodwill, which is another word for brand equity, right? If brand is trust, your reputation, your equity. You keep customers. Toyota, right? How's that going? Terrible. They're not keeping any customers. Did they operate unethically? They made a mistake. Something's wrong. Somewhere along the supply chain, and I don't know all the details, but apparently, where did these malfunctioning parts come from? US, I think. Go ahead, Christoph.
I feel like if you're not
getting variance down to as small as possible, one mistake per million or whatever, right? And they hang their hat on that sort of culture. And as you say, well, what did I say again?
Quality control, or not
Quality
maintaining-
control.
not maintaining quality, especially with cars, because that's the
Yeah, very good, very, very good. So quality control seems like one of those things that you would equate almost with an ethical responsibility. You're going to build a car that people are going to buy, put their kids in. You darn well better make sure it doesn't explode while someone's driving, right? So they fail at that, the customers leave, okay? Attract new customers. You know, if you are ethical, Tom's shoes. So next Tuesday, by the way, I can't go unfortunately. I'm sorry. Yeah, the guy that started Tom's Shoes is speaking. Man, I want to go. I teach that night, but maybe some of you will go and tell us what happened. Avoid lawsuits. Lawsuits are a pain in the ass, as anybody who's been involved in one knows. You don't want them. Now this is kind of interesting, right? How would acting ethically reduce employee turnover? Yeah, back there.
People would be more likely to want to work for a company that has a high moral
Yeah.
standing
Why?
because they can trust them. They know they.
If you're working for somebody you don't trust, how stable do you feel?
You don't feel safe.
None stable. Avoid government intervention. Again, just like you don't want lawsuits, you don't want the government telling you how to run your business. I promise you, government doesn't know how to run its own business. You don't want them telling you how to run your business, I promise. Please customers, employees, and society by doing the right thing, as Mr. Brother Spike Lee said, right? Do the right thing. Always do the right thing. Who's seen do the right thing? What a great movie. Fight the power. What? What? Brother Malcolm X. I wasn't me. I wasn't. But yes, absolutely. You're not a Spike Lee fan? But do you like Spike? Do the right thing? Do the right thing?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years, but I
It's just a
like
good-
he's a Knicks fan.
What's that?
I like he's a Knicks fan.
Ah, well now we're talking about ethical dilemmas. Ethics has everything to do with management. And this goes kind of oddly back to team of teams, right? The implication that Dreyer was saying was that your team of teams have to have the values aligned. But there's a corollary, a negative corollary, right? You can have a team of bad teams, right? It tends not to happen alone. There's rarely just one person. And it is, you know the expression, a fish rots from the head down, right? So in companies, if you got bad woman, man at the top, it starts to rot all the way through. Hopefully we'll have time to see what we call the smartest guys in the room about Enron. This exemplifies it. Bernie Madoff, all these massive ethical things. These guys didn't act alone, right? You need the implied or direct cooperation of others to behave unethically in a corporation. In other words, if you are an outlier, if the rest of the corporation is acting ethically, you start acting unethically, what's going to happen? What should happen? Get out. Don't do math problems in my class. Get out, right? That's the right thing to do, okay? In a company, if you're doing something unethical, in other words, maybe you're using the company's resources and time for your own self-interest, if you don't get them out, what happens? Spread. Spread. You are tacitly, you are impliedly giving somebody the authority to behave unethically. You don't tell them.
Wait, can you go back to the slide for a second?
I can. Give me 1 second. Everybody got it?
Yeah, thank you.
What I mean about not just starting off the slides, because right now I'm skipping through slides like crazy, but they're already posted. together? All right, so we're moving now to critical thinking. Okay, so that's something you should have read. Critical thinking, high order thinking. This idea that active, intelligent, would no longer, kind of passive thinking was okay in high school, right? Really, and most of you I'm sure didn't like this one bit, but high school, as I understand it, is mostly about just learn the damn stuff. Don't question it, just learn it, accept it, whatever. Well, that's got to go away, right? Now it's not about passive. It's not about just having stuff spoon-fed to you, handed to you. And I try not to. It's not about maps being drawn, right? It's more about, here's a compass. Draw your own map. And I think that that's more relevant than ever now. All I'm trying to do is give you something of a compass. Help you find your true north, right? Help you find that thing that motivates you, and help you to find some structure so that you can draw your own damn map. I can't draw your map for you. And I'd be skeptical of anyone that says they could draw a map for you. So you've got to start thinking in this kind of higher order, active thinking, critical thinking. Clear intellectual standards. This is the stuff that just drives us bonkers when people don't do this. It's not okay, and to your credit, this doesn't seem to exist in this class, which is awesome. A lot of the time I'll ask a question and somebody will just answer, well, I think. I don't really care what you think. I like you, I respect you as a human being, I'll embrace your inner Buddha, but your thought process, without any sort of backup, any sort of validation, it really doesn't matter. Sorry, Eventually, over time, you can get to a place, you can build a body of work that you can make proclamations and back them up. You can't now. So you need some standards. You need reasoning, right? So much of this has to do with listening. So much of this has to do with empathic listening, right? We as a society, and certainly we as a class, and me as an individual, you as an individual, have to get better at empathic listening. What is empathic listening? Yeah.
Listening to another person in a selfless way, where you're trying to understand their side of stories that can relate your ideas in a way that makes sense to them. And
You lost it right there at the end, but everything up to that was brilliant, right? The idea that you're listening in a way so that you genuinely understand where they're coming from, not through a filter of your own. Again, this idea of kind of really putting yourself in somebody's shoes. Where I say you lost it because you said so you can make them understand. You don't make anybody, you can't make anybody do me, right?
what it means to make what it means.
Okay, rephrase.
Like give them.
Even that's a little patronizing, I think.
Well, like say you're trying to, or just say.
How about
that
articulate clearly?
Yeah, articulate clearly. This is what I do.
You're doing great. You're doing great. That wasn't an indictment. I was just trying to help you through the work. Because it's not make somebody understand. It's not help somebody understand, which is just a nice way of saying make somebody understand. It's articulating a point of view clearly with some backup behind it. Whether or not that person understands, you can't control that. Wish you could. I wish I could. I wish I could control what you guys understand. Can't do it. Some of you are doing math while I'm talking, right? So all I can do is try and articulate clearly. They'll take what you take. And that's what this is about. And so as an empathic listener, want to really try and understand what this person's trying to articulate. We don't have to agree with it. We want to understand where they're coming from. So critical thinking, all of these adjectives, right? Adverb. Clarity, precision. And this, you know, you guys aren't great at this yet. Some of you are, I guess. But it's something to aspire to. Fairness, completeness, all these elements that, you know, this is really what we as teachers want, what I want, only because, you know, the means of expression, I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, kids today, they don't know how to write, all they know how to do is text. I don't care what medium you use to communicate with me. I Twitter more than all of you guys, right? I can abbreviate stuff like crazy. I can get more than 140 characters than most people are getting in 1,000, right? So I'm cool with getting me the information in the fastest possible way. I like good grammar, that type of thing, but I'm even okay with kind of giving that up as long as you get your point across clearly. Right? Now the one thing that isn't up here was kind of this. Precision, concision. Is that clear? Concise. In your writing, take out excess words, right? And I'm bad at this. A lot of this, but you know, you gotta always look for an opportunity to take words out, not add words, right? And being clear, and you know, again, as I say, I don't care if your means of communication is on Facebook. That's cool. It's probably the most effective means of communication we have currently. I just want you to communicate on Facebook clearly. See what I'm saying? Because this clarity of language is a real mirror of your clarity of thought. It's all you really have. Your language, your written language, or your spoken language, that is the word. It's the window into your brain. Think about that. Think about the way you write, the way you speak, and imagine it as really literally just being a snapshot of your brain. You cool with that? I think you're underselling yourself a lot of the time, right? I think most of y'all's brains are much more beautiful than the language with which you speak sometimes. It's clarity of thought, the mission statement, right? We didn't really like those mission statements as we look at them. They were generic. They didn't make a lot of sense, so I pushed you. I encouraged you to think of the mantra of a sentence. I encourage you to try and get more clear and meaningful. The whole message of the mantra was to make it more meaningful. Precision. Cut through confusion. Get to the point. This is so important for entrepreneurs, right? For business people, for teams of teams, for small groups, right? Your idea about you know, creating this thing with LUCAP or whatever, so much of it is going to be, what is this? What are we here for? Do not be an organization with a solution looking for a problem. We have a lot of problems. Right? Find one and fix it. Be specific. I love your small kind of focus. That's what we need. Because one of the beautiful things about the internet is that it can take a small good thing and blow it up. And we're in an age where niches, right? What's a niche? Talk. It's a small market, right? A niche market would be something that you know, historically was a limited kind of market, or focused, right? But now those niches can be really, really profitable. The Industrial Revolution was about making a thing that could be used by as many people as possible with very little variance. You can have whatever color Model T you want as long as it's. But now it's about, I can make this thing for you, and if there's 100 of you, it means there's 1,000 of you. And if there's 1,000 of you, it means there's 10,000 of you. There's 10,000 of you, there's a million. And all of a sudden, that specific niche becomes hugely profitable. You've got to be accurate, right? And this gets back into this into this empathic thing. We've got to let go of walking into situations with preconceived ideas about the information we're going to get. Not good, not productive, not helpful. That's really, I think, that's empathy, right? Empathy means walking in and saying, yeah, I don't understand where you're coming from. You're very different from I am, but I'm going to let go of these biases and just try and deal with you on a sort of higher level, right? On a non-emotional level. We're going to look at the problem and try and figure out a solution, and none of the other stuff matters. And think about that historically. Think about how we haven't done that. Still today, why have we not had a female president? I don't get that. I'm delighted that we can say that, we've actually had a black president, but that's long enough. Yes, you were going to answer why we've not had a female president.
No, I have a question. I'm going to start on that
I was
one.
so hoping you were going to say why. Well, I know why we haven't had a female president. Go ahead.
You said being empathetic was having a higher.
Empathic, but go ahead.
Yeah, was having a higher EQ. But here you say it's about being unemotional when you look at problems. At least.
Very, very astute, critical, listening question. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean being emotional in the way that you're thinking of being emotional, being dramatic, melodramatic. Emotional intelligence means this exactly. Listening, being sensitive. It doesn't mean that you're going to cry if you see a kitten in the rain. Does that make sense? I know we're all fighting back to tears just at the thought of a kitten in the rain. Now imagine, if you will, that this poor kitten in the rain only has 3 legs and 1 fang, and is blind in 1 eye, deaf in 1 ear, and has a little touch of diabetes. You've got to filter out distraction in the information, right? There's so much noise. If we think about these mission statements, a lot of that was redirection, distraction, right? Go through and read a corporate annual report. Boy, that's not a distraction. All you really want to know, you make any money? Yeah? Great. What products make you money? What are you going to do next year to keep doing? That's all I want to know. Go read a financial annual report, It's the most distracting, full of crap stuff you've ever seen in your life. Consistent, right? More than one inconsistent belief. One's got to be false. I hate salmon, but I love fish. Yeah? Okay. You don't love all fish. You don't like salmon. You can't, how do we wrestle with this stuff? In law school, they just drill this crap into your head. That's why lawyers are so annoying to talk to. Because we are trained to focus in on anything. Now, didn't you just say a minute ago that the person was actually walking upstairs in their bathroom? Now you're saying they were jogging upstairs. One or the other, witness, right? They train us to do that crap. Drives non-lawyers crazy. We're trained to look at documents and look at every word and make, there's some benefit to it, but it can get extreme. Practical inconsistency, saying one thing and doing another. Mom, going to class every day. Yeah? Be aware of unconscious inconsistency, saying one thing and doing something and you're not even, I mean, this is a slippery slope too. We all know some pathological lies. Right? Just can't help it. You guys are still thinking about the pork cat. Huh? Can we give it a name? Goo? I like Goo very much. Goo it is. Poor little Goo. In addition to all of his other ailments, his name is Goo. There's a cat in our neighborhood where we spend the summers that has no tail, and he's old and decrepit. It's kind of the model for Goo. His name is Plum. Sort of an onomatopoeia. What? The poor cat that can't do math. Yes. Depends on the. There'd be a whole lot of things that the cat would have to do before I kick it out. We had a cat last semester in the other room that would kind of meander in and jump right up on one of these chairs and sit down. There were times when I wanted to kick it out, but I figured the cat's at a little lower level. Logical correctness must be able to reason from belief to conclusions in a systematic. This is hard for you guys. You guys don't like anything about this stuff. You're artists. You're creative. What is this systemic or systematic manner you speak of? Dude, this is not how I operate. I understand. Believe me. In the midst of our ADD that we all have, and that's okay. The world is getting really ready to start embracing those with ADD. We got to every once in a while be able to pull back. Quiet the madding crowd that is in our heads and think logically and systematically. And believe me, the more you do it, the better you get, and it will not kill your creative spirit. It will only make those creative times all the more rich. Think thoroughly. Here's empathic listening. Can you really view from both sides of the argument, or are you just sitting there waiting for the person, or usually not waiting for the person, to finish speaking so that you can say what you feel? Right? Try to view both sides of the argument. If for no other reason than it'll make you be a better arguer. Impartial biases, we all have them. Try and lose them. So the benefits of person. All of this stuff just seems like, oh, it's nice. Part of being a good person. But it actually has some business application as well. So that once you understand the arguments of others, you can defend your own. Put your position forth more emphatically. Better. I'm going to black this out for a second just to see where I am here. Hang on. A couple more points I want to make. I'll go back to the other slide. Yeah, it is, my man. Come on, brother.
Because everybody's been doing this rapping and slam poetry thing. If I already one of my old slam poems from like high school. Don't laugh too much. It's called Our Story. Can you hear it? In absence of sound, more menacing than a mushrooming cloud looming over your hometown. Old, cold, it is the silence of souls, of anguish untold in the unfolding of history. Her story, your story, my story, my life. So small, the grand scheme of it all stands, twin towers tall, till twin towers fall, and all is calm before the desert storm. The silence was there. When a hole was torn, the globe got warm, gore tried to warn, and was scorned, folks too afraid of the truth to accept it. Now here we are, standing in a shitstorm of stupidity, stuck somewhere between Al-Qaeda and New Orlantis. When Katrina came and baptized Sin City, the silence was there. It's 2010, America. The future is here. It's time to take our story into our hands. We got to stop the silence now, before we all go deaf.
All right. All right, y'all. Who dat, right? Who dat? Have a good one.